Well, hi there folks, this is your host ID Jester. Welcome back to Marvel Heroes 2015 edition. I am really happy to show you some Magneto action here. Hopefully you watched our very long episode on exactly how this character operates, how his powers are, how his items are, what I think about him, his pros, his cons, and general discussion about everything about Magneto. One of my all-time favorite heroes. In fact, the hero I probably played the most in the last couple months after we leveled all of our 44 heroes up to level 60. Still using Magneto on a regular basis, and we're going to show you why. So we talked about his powers and stuff, but now we're going to show you how everything operates. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on those powers we talked about in our review of them. So we have our superiority. What's this going to do, you say? Well, that's a good question. First thing it's going to do is it's going to generate us some debris orbs, and it's also going to keep us a nice endurance, which is going to cost, give us some spirit regeneration and make our powers cost less. The other thing we're going to actually turn on is our waist knot, which is basically our just ability to shoot things when we're not even targeting them. Alright, so let's take a look at his powers. So of course our shrapnel barrage, we can't actually show you that because we don't have anything to target, but it is a very fast attack. And it does lots of damage for how much, for the speed of it. We have our lunge forward power, which all heroes have some way to kind of get around the battlefield. This is, again, not the ultimate of powers, but it's functional. It does give them a nice little way to get around the battlefield like all heroes do. At least his power is kind of just straight. It's not something funky like some of the other heroes. Next we have our imprison. It doesn't do anything on the screen because there's no enemies, but if there was an enemy standing there, you would see them surrounded by metal objects. And you can see, as I do that, it kind of just, I can spam it around a bunch of different enemies. There's no real cooldown on it. Next thing is our meat grinder here. You can see a nice area, a bunch of metal flying around inside there. Lasts a nice 8 seconds, and any enemy in there is going to be taking 20,000 damage twice per second. And again, nice area duration. So I can actually have, 3 or 4 of these kind of up in a general area. So anybody that's around attacking me, they're going to be taking some serious damage. Next we have our signature, one of the best signature powers in the game, the Storm of Steel. I rise up in the air. All damage next to me is being negated, or I'm sorry, 60% negated. And you can see the big area of effect around me. Last but not least, we have our blunt instrument, which basically we're going to summon a vehicle, kind of a random vehicle. It does have a 4-second cooldown. And you can see all these little objects on the ground are metal that we need to pick up, or metal orbs. But you can see we're at 100%. If we were not at 100%, you would see them kind of getting sucked over to me. Last but not least, we have our electromagnetic field, which gives us really good passive effects, or I should say okay passive effects. But the best thing about it is it gives an enemy a stun for 2.5 seconds that's irresistible. So let's show you. First thing we're going to do is just go in and show you our shrapnel barrage. This is just me. Okay, this is me not doing anything. I'm not pushing a button. I'm not doing anything. This is our, what we turned on a little bit ago, our waist knot. This is our waist knot power, basically going out and just attacking people. The reason it's stopped is you need to have at least 50% of your debris active, and it'll automatically shoot out. You can see our debris is rising up because of our other power, which is called superiority. So we're going to just generate that, and this is just going to automatically just shoot things. I didn't even hit a button, so that's how cool that power is. So now I am going to hit a button. This is going to be our shrapnel barrage. We're just going to just light people up, and as I'm shooting people, you will hear our other powers still going off as well. So really nice. We're just taking enemies out left and right. We're just lunging around the battlefield. Just taking things out. You can see all these nice big red numbers. You see how fast they flash on the screen. That's because our attack is 12 per second with this shrapnel barrage. And of course, in between all that, we want to do our imprison. So let's show you that power. We're going to throw out a nice metal. And you can see these guys are now kind of surrounded by metal. They're taking damage. You notice all those numbers flashing on the screen? That's the damage it just takes, that they take. I don't do any, I'm not shooting them or anything. They just take damage over time. And then, of course, we'll throw out one of our nice little meat grinders here. And anybody that's in that area is going to take some nice damage. Again, you should see numbers flashing on the screen. Again, that's not me doing it. It's just the damage over time. Alright, so you kind of understand how our powers are. Of course, we got to drop our car from the sky every once in a while. And, of course, everything we see debris orbs on the ground are obviously going to charge up our board. It's just going to let us shoot things that much faster. Alright, so now enough talking. Let's get to the action here and show you guys Magneto. And right now I'm going to kind of just bypass a bunch of these guys here. Get us to a better spot here. Alright, so now we can kind of focus. We got to come back this way to get to Mr. Sins. I don't know, who are we after? Mandarin, that's who we're after. And if I run into an area where there's a whole bunch, I just, of course, use my signature power. And you can see I am just going to just decimate anybody and everybody around me. Excellent. Oh, there's a nice group. I guess I should have waited. See how fast, between our waist knot power, which is that auto shootout, and our shrapnel barrage, you can just see how fast we can just target enemies left and right. Notice our health. Every time we hit a group of enemies, we are just going to be regenerating our health that much faster. Which is what we talked about in our review there. Gain 400 health whenever I hit an enemy. So that means if I'm hitting an enemy very fast, which you can see I do, I should be gaining lots of health back with our 400 health per enemy hit. There we go. We'll just come back and finish a few of these guys off. Normally I don't, take on a lot of the little yahoos. There's a nice 120 or 112,000 shot. So you're not going to see these big flashy 5 millions and 6 millions and 2 millions on the screen. What you are going to see is a lot of red numbers that say 60,000, 120,000, 140,000, 180,000, 220,000. Part of that is because, well, number one, our stats aren't really as high as they could be right now, which we're still working on. But we do have a nice 49% for our ranged attacks to critical hit. And of course, they're going to do 282% normal damage. And of course, our brutal strikes is 39%. And they're going to do 470%. So lots of numbers are going to be flashing on the screen. They're just not going to be, huge numbers. But if you add all those little numbers up, they're probably going to be just as much as those 5 million shots. So you can see all those numbers. If you were to add all those numbers up there, would that equal a million? Probably, or somewhere around there. So it's like me walking up the stairs as Thor and blasting him for 2.8 million. I did the same thing, but I just had it done, with 20 attacks as opposed to 1 attack. So last thing here is we're going to be fighting Mandarin here. This is one of the tough bosses, and we're going to see how well we can do as Magneto. So let's see what he's got for us here. He dodged our attack, which wasn't very good. So we put him in our nice area of effect. And that, now we're going to stun him with our stun power there. So he should be stunned. Put some more damage on him here, and he got out of that. So that's interesting. But now we're just gonna go tall. We're just gonna go big, and bam. So as I talked about in our review of Magneto, if you really want to play him the best of your ability, you're going to be using 2 really good active effects. You can only have one on at a time, so you're going to be toggling back and forth between these. You want to use this one for your debris generator, and you want to use it for your spirit regen, keeping all of your stuff up so you can use your waist knot all the time. keep your spirit nice and high. You would want to use this power to obviously energize any of your big powers and get that extra damage out of it, because you're going to get, you know, really good damage rating to it. So obviously something that's going to bump up your Storm of Steel would be very good. It's just a lot of extra work for, you know, that I don't feel like I need to do at this point with Magneto. I can get, I would say, a good 90% out of Magneto the way he is, and for that he is just as good as any of the other heroes out there. You can see we took down Mandarin, which is a pretty tough hero actually, without much problem whatsoever. Next we'll go after Mr. Sinister. Yeah, we will have time for this episode, so we'll just go ahead and not worry about trying to beat up any of the little yahoos along the way. There is a dupe there. Maybe we should see if we're getting anything for killing dupes nowadays. But let's just see how fast these attack happen. You see how fast this attack happened? And this guy that was standing here, I'm not touching anything. I don't even have my hand on the keyboard at this point. That's just my waist knot, just blasting people. So obviously 3 orbs are good, and that way we can just take damage to enemies without having to really do it. It just does it on its own good. It does it on its own, and that's just fine with me. The more damage it's doing it, the less damage, the less things I gotta hit. He's up or down? He's down. Okay. He should be right around the corner. So again, pretty tough hero here. Not one of the wimpy ones. This guy's can be dangerous. We're gonna basically see how well we do. See, our invulnerability came on at a really good time. That was good. Now we're putting our bubbles out. We're gonna drop cars on his head. You know, we're gonna do our thing, and then when those things are out, we're just gonna shrapnel barrage him to death, or try to anyways. He did some damage to us. So it's time to go up. It's time to do our signature power and just take him out, because he was doing some damage to us. You notice our health went down quite a bit there, and it went down very fast. I don't know if you noticed, but man, like 3 hits or just a couple seconds of standing in that fire, and we were down below half health. So he is very squishy, and even with the stats that I have, I don't need any of these.
Fate smiles upon me
I don't know if I need a ranged one or not, but we'll hold on to it for now. So even with this, what I have built into him, he's still very squishy with extra defense and extra health and the invulnerability. He could still be very, very, very squishy. So you want to, you know, as some people on the forums like to say, you're building a glass cannon. So with a lot of these heroes nowadays, you either have to kind of forego defense and health and everything that kind of keeps your character alive, and kind of concentrate on becoming a cannon where you just blast the crap out of whatever's standing there in front of you as fast as humanly possible, so you're not going to be taking much damage. And of course, if that's how you want to build your character, or you know, that's kind of the modus operandi in Marvel heroes right now, is having glass cannons for those heroes that aren't beasts. Hulk there, Juggernaut, Thor, actually Captain America now, are all pretty tough. They're tanky. They can, you know, you can build them to be damage dealers because they have enough health regen. They have enough defenses that you can put all of those really good items up here that give them stats to their critical hits, their stats to their brutal strikes, and you don't have to worry about the health, and you don't need to worry about their defenses. A lot of the lower level tier ones, like say Magneto or Spider-Man, Storm, even Iron Man, you have to make a choice. Do you make them a glass cannon where one hit's going to knock them out and they can do a ton of damage? Or do you want to build them little bit tougher, but not do as much damage output as you possibly can. So, but that's a look at Magneto number 1. We're going to come back here and we'll go on a couple more cosmic runs here. Probably not Doctor Doom, but we'll make a couple more runs in the next episode. Show you some more Magneto action. He's a fun character to play. Just watching him blow things away so fast is awesome. He does a lot of damage. These people out there that just say Magneto can't do any damage are totally wrong. He can fight with the best of them. He can't stand up to a lot of the heroes like Juggernaut can, or Hulk can, or any of the really tough characters can. But Magneto can dish it out. I'll give him that. He can dish out. He can bring the heat. He just has to make sure he doesn't get into a situation where he is taking a lot of damage. Fortunately for Magneto, he has the one signature power that really is kind of you can use it as a defensive, where if you're all of a sudden are low on life, you're surrounded by enemies, you're taking some damage, whatever, you spam this, bam, hit it if it's active, and you're going to negate 60% of your damage all of a sudden. And not only that, but hopefully your health regen will kick in and you'll get some health back while you're up in the air doing lots and lots of damage to your enemy. Look at that, 188,000 twice per second. So that is 370,000 points of damage a second. So that's not bad. Be sure to look for the next episode to come soon, folks. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.